Western Michigan running back Matt Falcon just can't seem to catch a break, it seems. After injuring his knee last, Falcon has been medically disqualified to play for the Broncos this fall. According to a Battle Creek Inquirer report, Western Michigan will also be without redshirt freshman defensive lineman Desmond Luntz, who has also been medically disqualified. Falcon redshirted for Western Michigan in 2016 under former head coach and current Minnesota head coach P.J. Fleck. Falcon came to Minnesota after being offered a medical scholarship at Michigan after a second ACL injury in his senior year of high school. He injured the same knee during camp prior to the 2017 and managed to make just one appearance for the MAC program. Falcon rushed for 37 yards on 10 rushing attempts. Due to his injury history, Falcon was likely only to play a reserve role in the running game for Western Michigan this fall. Regardless, not being able to contribute this fall has to be disappointing for a player that was once rated as a 4-star recruit in high school. In terms of his eligibility, the time to petition for a medical exemption for an extra year of eligibility could eventually be on the table for Falcon, although that does not need to be decided just yet. Junior defensive back Brad Tanner has also been confirmed to have left the program. Follow at Kevin Ong. FB Berkeley Edwards, the younger brother of former Michigan standout Braylon Edwards, is apparently following in his brother's footsteps. According to a report from the Michigan Insider, Berkeley Edwards is planning on transferring from Central Michigan to walk on with the Wolverines. Edwards will be using a 6th year of eligibility granted by the NCAA to play his final for the same program his brother and father Stan Edwards once did. Edwards began his college career at Minnesota in 2013. He spent 1 year as a redshirt and later sat out the 2016 as a transfer to Central Michigan. Edwards was a part of the Central Michigan Special Teams unit last and has previously handled rushing duties at Minnesota. At Michigan, Edwards will likely fill a spot on the depth chart at running back and special teams, although his role is expected to be as a reserve option for each as he gets started with the Wolverines. Edwards will be eligible to play for Michigan this. Michigan has not formally announced the addition of Edwards to the football program at this time. Follow at Kevin Ong. FB The Big Ten continues to roll in gigantic piles of money. Details on the Big Ten revenue distribution for the past year were uncovered from a budget spreadsheet from the Michigan Board of Regents, in which it was revealed Michigan received a revenue distribution of $51 million from the Big Ten for the past fiscal year. It is currently projected the Big Ten distributions will rise to $52 million for the next year, according to Detroit News reporter Angelique Chengelis via Twitter. That's a nice payday for all parties involved and was to be expected given the recent changes to the Big Ten media partnerships. Last year, the Big Ten began making regular games available to Fox in addition to its current partnership with ESPN and, of course, the Big Ten Network. That expansion of the media deal appears to have paid off for the Big Ten and should continue to fuel the revenue allotment for the next year as the deals with Fox and ESPN continue. The Big Ten's revenue distribution the previous year was $36.3 million. The Big Ten revenue distribution of $51.1 million eclipses the average $41 million distributions received by SEC members. It also continues to pace well ahead of the other power conferences. Big 12 members received $36.5 million, ACC members received between $25.3 million and $30.7 million, and Pac-12 schools received $30.9 million. For the sake of comparison, the American Athletic Conference recorded a total conference revenue of $74.47 million for the past year. It's good to be in a power conference. It's even better to be in the Big Ten and the SEC, apparently. Update: as a reminder, Maryland and Rutgers will not receive a revenue distribution until the 2020-2021 year. Nebraska was eligible for a distribution for the first time as a Big Ten member, however. Follow at Kevin Ong. FB The college football bowl schedule may see some new bowl games beginning with the 2020, but Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby says that doesn't necessarily mean there will be more bowl games on the schedule. In a podcast interview with the Associated Press, Bowlesby noted the bowl structure is being worked on in order to raise the standards for a bowl game to exist and reflected on how recent changes to the bowl system could impact the current or future bowl lineup. We want to be an open marketplace. We want the market to dictate how many bowl games there are, Bowlesby said to App College Football writer and at Top 25 College Football podcast host Ralph Russo. We think it will arrive at a place of equilibrium. I think a local organizing committee of a bowl would be very poorly advised to go into with one side of their game or both sides of their game open, but there are some circumstances under which that could exist. It was recently reported 3 new bowl games could be added to the 2020 bowl calendar, including potential bowl games in Chicago and Myrtle Beach. As Bowlesby explains, just because a bowl game or 2 or 3 could be added, that won't necessarily mean the number of bowl games will increase. Some bowl games currently in existence could cease to operate in the future due to the NCAA's modified bowl certification process. Bowlesby stressed the changes being made to ensure a bowl game is able to operate without digging any holes for the bowl committee and local community. Bowlesby also emphasized the recent limits on how many bowl tie-ins a conference can lock down and how that may impact how a bowl game manages itself. The ACC and SEC are limited to 10 bowl tie-ins, the Big Ten limited to 8, and Pac-12 gets 7, and the Big 12 is restricted to 6 bowl tie-ins. Limits for the non-power conferences have also been established. On top of that, the Pac-12 recently made a conference rule that will prohibit 5 to 7 teams from participating in a postseason bowl game even if a school would be invited due to April scores to fill any vacancies. We think we are going to be less likely to go into the 5 to 7 pool than we've been in the past. Basically, if you see a bowl game struggling to draw ratings and sell tickets, it could be in some danger. You can listen to the interview to hear Bowlesby discuss the bowl future as well as the new transfer rule here. Follow at Kevin Onk FB. Maybe the third time will be the charm for Freddie Canteen. Canteen spent the 2014 and 2015s at Michigan before transferring to Notre Dame. After spending the 2016 and 2017s at Notre Dame, the wide receiver announced on Twitter last month that he would be transferring from the Fighting Irish as well. Wednesday, Jelaine confirmed in a press release that Canteen has been added to its 2018 football roster. As a graduate transfer, Canteen will be eligible to play for the Green Wave immediately in 2018. In fact, the upcoming could be the first of the receivers 2 years of eligibility he'll have available, although that has yet to be confirmed. Canteen was a 4-star member of UMa's 2014 recruiting class, rated as the No. 45 receiver in the country and the number 4 player at any position in the state of Maryland. In the span of 15 games and 3 starts in 2s with the Wolverines, Canteen caught 6 passes for 22 yards. After sitting out the 2016, Canteen played in just 3 games for the Fighting Irish this past year, 1 catch for 7 yards, before suffering what turned out to be a ending shoulder injury.